Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. So Alibaba just released the earnings 1 hour ago. So in today's video I want to talk about Alibaba stock. We are gonna see what those earnings are about this December quarter, which honestly it is incredible. When we see that kind of numbers, it is something that as an investor it's something that you really want to see, okay? Probably one of the best earnings ever for Alibaba. But the reality of the fact is that as you have probably seen, the stock today is down at the moment 2.90%. Those earnings were actually so positive that they pushed up Pinduoduo 4.25 at the moment and JD.com as well 3.45% up. I covered both of those stocks, so if you just want to see the videos, I leave you the link down in the description. Anyway, Alibaba stock. So we are gonna see the earnings and I'm gonna also obviously do an update on the price to try to see where we are right now in the graph. The only thing I ask you is please leave me another like, it's very important and I thank you for it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Now, Alibaba guys, so earnings, the December quarter revenue went up 37% year over year, 38% the core commerce in terms of revenue growth, okay, so astonishing. This has beat all the expectations, okay. The cloud business went up 50% year over year, and for the first time in the history of the Alibaba Cloud, they have a positive adjusted EBITDA. Now here we can see the updated revenue contribution by segment. As we know, Alibaba has in reality a lot of different platforms and businesses where they make those money. The 46% is the core commerce when we find their major platforms, so Tmall, Taobao, and the new seed businesses, okay, they are moving through groceries, okay, very important stuff. We have seen that with JD.com as well, trying to reach different areas, okay, of those people which they are not familiar with the internet stuff, okay, so also physical shops, which are very interesting. And then 8% the cloud computing, which for the first time, as we have seen, they have positive EBITDA. Then digital media and entertainment, also that one has done very well. And then great, also the international commerce retail, okay, both Lazada and AliExpress, they have done pretty well, 5% in terms of the business. Now, instead of looking at numbers with the RMB, this is basically the same article but with the dollars. Alibaba revenue 33.8 billion in dollars for this quarter, an increase of 37% year over year. Annual active consumers reached 779 million for the 12-month period ended, an increase of 22 million for the 12 months period before. Mobile monthly active users on China retail marketplace reached 902 million in December 2020, an increase of 21 over September 2020. Then net income, $11.9 billion out of 33.8, so very great margins as well. And then as we scroll down, we see that basically all the different segments, they have basically beaten expectations, all of them. The cloud very well. Remember that the cloud is going to be a very key point in an Alibaba business. So the idea of seeing it becoming profitable in a EBITDA basis is something very interesting. As we can see from here, new retail gaining market shares in the grocery category using multi-banner, multi-format strategy. That's what I was telling you before about also a physical shop. We completed in October an acquisition for a controlling stake on Sun Art Retail Group, a leading hypermarket in China. Very well also the logistic part, okay, so Kai Niao Network, which in December quarter revenue grew 51% year over year, so $1.74 billion, primarily due to the increasing volumes of order fulfilled from our fast-growing cross-border and international common retail business. The international part, as I told you very well, both Lazada and AliExpress, that despite the virus, they have continued to invest and develop in that business as well. So the fact of international stuff. Then cloud computing. In December quarter, cloud computing revenue grew 50% year over year, basically $2.47 billion, primarily driven by robust growth in revenue from customers in the internet and retail industry and the public sector. For the first time, Alibaba Cloud achieved a positive adjusted EBITDA during the quarter due to realization of economies of scale. Okay, so obviously more people are using it. It's a very scalable business, the cloud business, and it has very great margin. So we are probably gonna see this profitability increasing even more in the future as the business continues to grow. Very interesting as well the fact of buybacks, so share repurchase. On November 28th, 2020, we announced that our board of directors authorized an upsize of our share repurchase program for $6 billion to $10 billion for a 2 years period through the end of 2022. So that it's very interesting as well to see how they spend $10 billion in stock repurchases. It means that for them, the stock is way undervalued. So they are going on and buying the shares in the market, giving back value to investors. So that it's very positive. Anyway, why is Alibaba going down? Okay, so if everything is great, if we have seen that they beat expectations, the cloud is becoming positive in extreme growth, 37% for a company like that. Those are numbers that if something like that happens in the United States, guys, you see a plus 15% in the day. Okay, so why the hell is Alibaba going down? Simple enough. Investors are extremely worried about the result, the outcome of this anti-monopoly investigation. And the real problem over there is that obviously you have earnings call, and you do questions as an analyst. What is the first thing that you ask to Alibaba? What about the probe? And the reality is that they haven't been able to give a clear answer. What they said is that the probe is basically going on, is an ongoing process. They are working together to actually meet those kind of rules and trying to adjust the business as well as they can. But in terms of the timing, so when will we have an outcome of these things, they don't know. They say it's ongoing. And how the outcome will be, they obviously didn't give an answer to that as well. So investors, as you can imagine, are worried about this thing so much that they literally don't give a damn about the best earnings in the history of Alibaba. That's the main problem. And now, as well, update on Ant Group. They say that this was just released some days ago, but here is confirmed. The Ant Group at the moment is trying to go on in a restructuring way, okay? So they are rethinking the idea and is gonna go through a more of a transactions-based business controlled by the Chinese central bank, which, however, they say that we are unable to make a complete and fair assessment on the impact that these changes and uncertainties will have on Alibaba Group. So here is basically the thing. Alibaba at the moment, as we know, is a drama stock, okay, trouble stock. Say it however you want. What it means is that inside of it, they have this problem, an ongoing investigation from the Chinese government, which is blocking both Ant Group and the core business. Now, why investors are worried? The reason is pretty simple. This probe will have an effect, okay, an outcome. And the outcome of the probe will determine the future growth rate of Alibaba. Now, the thing is, here, when I've done the valuation of the company, if you haven't seen the video, it's this one, I'll leave you the link down in the description. I have considered growth rates lower, way lower than the actual 30+% that a lot of analysts are expecting from Alibaba. The thing is, how much can the probe have an impact on that growth rate? For example, here in the normal case scenario, I've said a 20% growth rate in the next 5 years. Now, we have seen that they have just released a 37% growth year over year, okay? So 20%, how much is that? Okay, almost a half. Now, considering that 37 is probably too high, it's just this year because of pandemic and stuff. But even though if you consider 28, 29% compounded, 20% is way less, okay? It's 32% less. That how it should be. And even worse, okay, the bear case scenario, I have considered 18% growth instead of 29-30%. That one is more than 40% lower. So that will mean that the probe will have a 40% impact on future growth of Alibaba. Even with this bear case scenario, the fair price of the stock will be above $300 today. Okay, so obviously investors, in my opinion, are being too much scared at the moment regarding this probe issue. I have read a lot of research from analysts and stuff that they were basically going on and try to understand how much the business can be impacted, because one of the main problems for Alibaba with this monopoly probe is that basically they were making merchants choose only one platform, okay, and then they were not able to sell on others. Now they went on actually and they went to see in both Tmall and Taobao how many of those merchants are in terms of a percentage of the sales. Okay, so if let's say they cut this thing, how much can Alibaba sales be impacted? And it is not even near to a 40% decrease in growth, okay, because even though this choose to one stuff, it looks big, as they say, the reality of the fact is that there are not a lot of business with this kind of exclusive formula, okay, in the entire Alibaba environment of merchants. We are seeing that stuff like JD.com, Pinduoduo, they are doing great. So overall, I would say that this kind of competitions is there, it's existing. So it is not that Alibaba is like the king of them all and trying to destroy and take everything. So honestly, I believe that people are too much negative about the outcome of the probe. Now let's take a look at the graph. So if you remember from my previous video, we were around here and I told you that this 267 was a very strong resistance for the price. Indeed, it came down and it stayed inside these two lines, so resistance and support. The support at 252, it's a very important one. I told you multiple times because of this. Basically, we see that here, support, support, support. So I told you last video that the price it could be trapped inside this box, and that's what basically we are seeing right now. In my opinion, as long as investors they continue to be so afraid about the probe, and the fact that Alibaba at the moment is not able to release a clear answer to what is going on behind the scenes, it is very likely that we will continue to see the price basically doing nothing, okay? Going up one day, going down the next day, because people do not trust this situation. People are actually afraid of the Chinese regulators. We are seeing that very clearly at the moment. And as long as this will go on, as we saw today, we had a majestic earnings season and the price didn't care. Basically, in terms of business, that's one of the most undervalued stuff that you can find right now in the market. This is fear, completely fear, and basically lack of transparency, okay? Because obviously when things are transparent, fear it's less strong, okay? But At the moment, they are just saying, well, you know what, we don't know. It's something that is going on, it's an ongoing situation, and we don't know how it's going to end. That's the thing. However, the market is pricing probably the worst scenario of them all, even worse than my bear case scenario. So at the moment, the market is pricing like Alibaba will grow at around 12% in the next 5 years, which in my opinion is way too low compared with what they are actually being able to do. So we are gonna see how that situation will end up. I hope you find the video interesting. Leave me a like and leave me a comment below. Tell me what do you think about that. When will end? Subscribe to the channel, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.